We've known each other for a really long time, and I'm really excited for you. Thank you. And also, thank you guys. It has been a second since I've done a talk. I've been working at some of the most secretive companies in the world. I mean, obviously there's like the CIA and stuff, but there's Tesla and Apple, and we don't talk a lot outside, so I'm excited to be here. And yes, it's you guys today. This is a little hard to see, but I just wanted to start by just letting you guys know, prefacing this with like, I'm kind of weird, so this is a little different. It'll probably be normal, but just in case. I have been very lucky to create a career based on being kind of weird and getting to do that. I'm actually a playwright by training, and I like to say I'm kind of still a playwright by trade. It's just more of a corporate playwright now. But I do stories, and I get to tell things based on people around me, and that's really what I've been inspired by my entire career. And the stage, so really this is kind of the stage, so I'm very happy to be back on one. But yeah, I started out at UCLA. I studied playwriting, which I got really interested in when I was in high school, and I went to a really cool summer camp. If you know, it's actually exciting. They don't call it a summer camp. It's the California Arts Academy at CalArts, the California Summer School of the Arts, and you're a fellow. And I went to the program when I was a junior in high school, and I come from a 3,000 person town in Northern California, a very, very tiny rural town. And it was the first time that I was fully immersed in this really crazy group of people who were kind of like me from all over. A lot of Angelinos and people from the Bay Area, and it was just creatives, and we were like 16 to 18, and we'd sit out on the CalArts lawn, and like I smoked my first cigarette, and we would talk about Fellini and all this stuff. But it really was the first time that I realized how inspired I was by the people around me, and how that I really got my motivation by being around other creatives, and people who were far more creative than me, people from a lot of different walks of life. And so I really kind of followed that and decided to go to UCLA for the School of Theater, Film, and Television. And while there, I was really able to meet, again, this cast of characters that I could go to the neuroscience building and meet these neuroscientists, and then go over to the art building and create really interesting, go to a talk that someone was doing on digital media, and Agnes Varda, and like all these really incredible people who I again found myself being inspired by. And yeah, I think that's kind of the gist of where I've gone in my career. So again, being energized and inspired by people versus networking. And people always say, Maritza, you're such a networker, blah, blah, blah. And I hate that word because networking for me feels like there's an ambition involved. And what I've always really stressed in the way that I get inspiration from people that's led to some of the inspiring ideas that I'll talk about is it's curiosity. It's just really wanting to get to know other people and to see something interesting. Like I see your orange glasses over there, and I want to get to know you. I'm curious about your story, and it's being able to create empathy. And as a marketer, or as a corporate playwright, that's a really crucial part of what I do. I got to start my career while I was at UCLA, I got really involved in the Hammer Museum. Has anybody been to the Hammer? Yay, that's awesome. It's the best museum in Los Angeles, outside of the other place that I worked. We'll talk about But it was my first job out of college. They hired me. I started their student marketing program, and I would just do crazy things. I was like, this is how I got involved in marketing in the first place. I would like take, I don't know, I heard that Hugh Hefner was going to do a movie, so I was like, could we get Hugh Hefner and we could do a whole thing with him on stage and show a screening to like the students and talk about sex education and all these ideas were possible because no one just asked and done it. And so they hired me after school, and I was immersed in this incredible environment with all of these artists. And actually, Maria, who's here, was such a nice surprise, but like this was who is in the art world here in Los Angeles, and his partner is someone who owns one of the best galleries in LA, Francois Gabali. But this was my first time getting to meet all of these contemporary artists and work on these projects, and that's me there. Very young there. Sam Durant in the back, who's an amazing LA contemporary artist. Anna Pravaki, my boss Allison Ackstein, and it was just this like creative utopia. And so I did this for a few years, and I started their social media, and it was, working as their like in public engagement program, and in visitor service. I ran the visitor services department, which meant that I was like at the front of the museum and actually getting to meet every single artist who came in. And so I was like kind of the face of the museum and really got to insert myself in these, relationships with different artists, and it was incredibly inspiring. And then I got an offer to go work at an agency to do social media for Microsoft, and it was a really dark period. I like to reframe it as it was research, and I did this for about a year, and I knew that this was something that I needed to do in order to, kind of build on my career and what I wanted to do to be able to understand the techniques to tell some of the greater stories that I wanted to do through digital platforms. But while I was also at Microsoft, I went and got like a few other little jobs still in the art world. I could like infuse myself on the weekends and stay inspired. But I did that for a year, and as soon as I was done, I was like, okay, literally like on day 365, I got hired at LACMA as their first social media manager. And it was, I honestly, like when I was going into the job interview, I was just like, yeah, of course, like this is what I've been working towards, because I did my time at the Hammer. I went and worked with Microsoft so that I could have the technical sense, and I understand the art world. I understand the creative capabilities of telling stories about museums, but I saw that there was an opportunity that no museum was actually really using marketing as creative as a creative strategy. So it was like a lot of kind of regurgitating what was already happening. Great, we have this art, let's put it on a billboard. Rather than could you make the marketing strategy for the museum as creative as the museum itself and as creative as the museum experience. So really, making people walk away from a marketing piece going, wow, I want to go there because I know that this is the kind of creativity that's stimulating once I'm at the visit, and this is the kind of creativity that I'm getting stimulated by from a campaign by the museum. So I created this really fun, this is the LACMA Snapchat, and this was 2014, so this was like right around the time that Snapchat was becoming a thing, and my boss said absolutely not, and I kind of got away, and this idea came from, being inspired by people. I would walk through the museum, and I would literally follow groups of high schoolers and see how they were interacting with the art, and I would notice that I would literally like pretend, I looked pretty young, so I think pretend I was there, and I would hear them make comparisons to make the art more relatable. Oh, that looks like that thing that I saw. Oh, that looks like the Beyonce, all the single ladies. And I was like, okay, what if we could make, instead of making this kind of stodgy marketing thing, could we do something that's a little more irreverent? mixing the creativity of the museum with the irreverent nature of Snapchat. And really make it funny, but also, a bit educational and show you the collection, but in a way that that's inspiring and fun, and again, makes you actually want to go to the museum and get to engage in the artwork in the same way too. And it was really successful. It got us a lot of media attention. It really put LACMA again on the map for having come up with something that was as creative as the museum experience itself, is what I think to say. And I got invited to go and do a talk at Media Arts Lab, which is Apple's agency. And I literally didn't know what an agency was then. Again, I come from the theater and art world. And I was like, oh, it's like a creative lab. And I gave this talk, and they hired me as Apple's first social media strategist. And I literally had no idea that I was going to be what advertising was at all. And I remember getting there and being like, we're doing this crazy stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is like advertising, this is the reality. And tried to kind of find, was a little bit humbled at that moment, and realized within the confines of that, still what are the stories that you could tell and who are the inspiration. And when I arrived, there was an amazing, I can't talk a lot about this stuff, but there was the Shot on iPhone campaign that was happening, and it was this opportunity from Apple to create a really community-led campaign and to start to be Apple inspired by all of the people who were inspired by Apple. So it became this relationship between the audience directly and the brand, which was really cool. And then while I was there, I started, I loved what I was doing, but I also wanted to be a little bit more creative again. Did anyone happen to hear about this thing that happened a few years ago at Coachella, where this Pretty Little Liars actress lost her phone, and a gentleman by the name of Jack Wagner, who goes by Versace Tamagotchi on the internet, happened to find her phone, and it was kind of tragic at first, but it unfolded throughout the day. She actually ends up letting him go to Coachella. He finds her phone and her artist passes, and goes to Coachella, is on stage with Skrillex. You started following this along on social media, and it got picked up by CNN, by all of these. I think there are even more outside of this. It garnered, I think, something it was 8 million views in the first 24 hours, which was just solely on Snapchat. And this was all a scripted thing that I did. And we've never revealed this, so you guys are the first people to know. This is us upon the night. So the whole story was that she loses her phone, he finds it, he goes to Coachella, he has this wild adventure. Everyone is following along through, bio. We had stories happening on Instagram. This was pre-Instagram stories. So there'd be a post on Instagram that would be kind of weird, and she's suddenly posting about death metal. And then you go to her Snapchat and you realize that she's backstage with Zed, or he's backstage with Zed, and you're following all of this through Troy and Belisaurio's social media accounts, and it became this really thrilling 24-hour thriller. We scripted all of that. And this was my writing partner, Eugene. He's in the middle there. And Eugene was, when we talk about muses, Eugene was someone who I would see at parties, and I thought he was just the most interesting person. He was half balding and had really owned it. We did this mop with his hair where you kind of put it all up, so we just have hair in the middle. And it was super weird, and I just thought that's someone who I want to get to know. I'm really curious about him. And so I kind of, forged this friendship with him after a while. He was like, who are you? I'd be like, I know you, hi. And eventually, I kind of was able to work with him and pitched him on this idea. I know you're an amazing filmmaker. You did a lot, Eugene. I know you do a lot of mumblecore stuff. I have this idea for, Snapchat has just kind of come out as this big platform. No one is doing narrative storytelling on it yet.
if they are, they're telling everyone that it's fake before they do it, so nobody actually cares. What if we did something and we had everyone's attention and we, used a star? We actually originally wrote it for Jared Leto, who liked it, but couldn't do it because he wasn't going to Coachella, or it wouldn't have made sense at the time. And use this platform to tell this greater story. And so we literally wrote this entire script. We casted our director, who was Versace Tamagotchi, and we casted the talent, Troy Belisario, and we did this whole thing. And this all came from literally years of just being like, Eugene, this might be cool. I like what's going on Snapchat. How could I just do something and just do it? And we didn't get paid for this. It was something we just wanted to do, but we did get some other projects outside of it. So went on to do this project with Snapchat. We launched their first set of art geofilters. So this was a relationship that we forged between different artists and Snapchat, and allowed them to create these Art Basel geofilters. Unfortunately, we launched this right after Instagram stories launched. So, of course, everyone at Art Basel that year was like using Instagram stories, and we're like, hey, have you ever heard of Snapchat? Maybe check out that Chloe Wise geofilter on here. But it allowed us to get a little bit more into storytelling. There's Petra Collins using it down there. She designed one. And then Eugene and I did another project that was a complete failure. Based all of the Coachella project that we've done, we got asked by UNICEF to create a campaign around their first refugee team. And we came up with this is, we're both artists. He's an artist, I'm still corporate. Parading around as an artist. And this was a character that we created called the Teen Refugees #1 fan. So it was supposed to be this guy who had become obsessed with the refugee team, and this was going to be the way that we were going to market to awareness about the refugee team. As you can see, I ended up with 4 followers. We hired an actor. This was his symbol, so we would go around and do this everywhere. And we hired these different friends of ours who were Instagram famous at the time with oh wow, I met this guy on the street who taught me about the refugee team, and then they would take a photo like this, and it just didn't do anything. But it was a good lesson for us in it doesn't sometimes. The thing I've learned in my career is there's the creativity and then there's also the tactics. So understanding both sides to be able to make a splash and get visibility. And then I went to Tesla. This is fun. This is me in semi-truck. And we got to do some really cool things. So really the whole piece behind what I did at Tesla was really trying to create a social strategy based on the ultimate muse, Elon Musk. And how you can kind of infuse, bits of that inspiration to every single piece of content that goes out and make it feel like, I think what he is involved in everything. I can't talk too much about this, but he doesn't love Tesla. But this was a really fun video that we did, it was the UX, and actually instead of just showing here's what the car can do, we tried to create something around the features of the car. So, that is a Model X towing a semi-truck. So instead of telling people to do that, we're just why don't we just show them? And, we this is in Puerto Rico, and of course the Roadster and semi-truck there. And very recently, I got invited to go to Playboy. And I am currently there now as the first senior director of content marketing. And the moment that I started talking to the CMO, we were having lunch, and it was just kind of a casual thing. And we had been talking about this for a while, and I've been really interested in the sex wellness space. And I said, hey, you guys should work with my friend Jeremy O'Harris. He's And I was like, are you kidding? That's awesome. And I joined Playboy, and I realized when I got there, they sent me the PDF of the new issue, and there were all of these people who I worked with throughout my career, and all of these legitimate friends of mine who are in the current issue. And it was this really special moment of kind of going, wow, and I wasn't tearing up right now, actually, because we all, my friend Kimberly Drew, Jeremy O'Harris especially, there were a few other friends in the issue, but primarily have been people who we started Kimberly and I were both social media managers. She was on the East Coast, I was on the West Coast, and we forged this friendship, and we all kind of became friends in different ways, and the weird things that we would do, and ideas that we would share, and now that we all are kind of in the same thing together, it was a really special moment of feeling really blessed that I've had the opportunity to meet these people in different circumstances, but I'm not to pat myself, but this is kind of, I hope, some of the takeaway is I always immersed myself in bizarre scenarios that I thought were going to be interesting and weird. And I met Jeremy at a commune birthday about, I want to say 9 years ago, where I think I took the photo out, but we're all wearing flower crowns sitting in Ojai. And it was this totally bizarre thing, but just taking those chances and meeting really interesting people and having those conversations have been inspiring for all of us. And Jeremy, of course, is an actual thing, right? He's on Broadway right now. And kind of I had the same relationship with Kimberly Drew, who goes by Sam Mammy on Instagram. And it's really cool to see us all. So I included this. This is the bio. I have to write these all the time. And I've literally never really known what it is that I do. And you probably are saying, you're we don't know what you do either. You walk through a bunch of crazy stuff. But that's the truth. I've gotten to do a lot of really interesting things in my career because I just started with the innovation and the inspiration and just forged ahead with that idea. And I don't know, I wrote one of these, I write these all the time, and it always feels really funny because even when you're introducing me as creative strategist, I'm yeah, I guess I'm not. That's the marketable way. But I fall into a lot of different areas, and I'm not ashamed of that anymore. I used to be really embarrassed that I couldn't really explain it, and now it's just I like to do cool shit. That is the truth, and I'm really lucky that companies hire me to come in and do cool shit for them and trust me on that. And being kind of always just naturally being interested in culture and people has helped me be at the forefront of a lot of these ideas. We created them before other companies are getting there. I wanted to share with you guys some of my muses right now. These are some of my best friends who I'm inspired by, and kind of the diversity of different, data scientists, cultural theorists, artists, the marketer. This is one of my best friends, Sarah Nagy, who is a quant and aerodynamics, and we met at UCLA in line for a movie that we both faked our way to get into, and then to go to the after party, we went to the CVS and found a similar color of the wristband that we saw them handing out, and in a binder, and cut that out and taped it on our wrist, and forged an amazing friendship after that. Mandy Harris-Williams, who's an artist and cultural theorist and writer, this weekend actually put her on a panel for Playboy at the Idlewild Film Festival, which is so cool when you can bring your friends together and the work that you're doing, and everyone gets elevated from it. And she talked with one of our features editor who writes about sex in the media and representation and race. And then Lisa Solberg, who's an artist who has a studio down here, who's really kind of my personal motivational speaker, and makes amazing artworks. Has just burned this half of a canvas in the middle of the desert for Summit, which is a cool thing that I've never gone to because it's really expensive. expensive, but I hear it's cool. And then Sarah DeCoe, who's the co-founder of Brud, which is the company that created Little Michaela. And I was so lucky to call these women some of my best friends because they inspire me. We talk about ideas. I really hope that you guys, if you don't have people like this in your life, they're there, they're everywhere. We're in Los Angeles. There's so many ways to forge those friendships and to bring that into your life. So I don't really have advice. I don't want to give people advice. These are my experiences. Immersing myself into different cultural environments and really having that desire to have diversity in my life and in order to obviously have creative ideas, but also to really have infuse empathy in everything I do. So inspired by folk equals inspired work. And be you, as odd, as unusual as you can. Because I've always been pretty weird. 1994. OG. Yeah, thank you guys. And